Hi, I'm Adrian Newton from the James Hutton Institute, and I'm standing here in a field trial of winter barley looking at the performance of blends. Now, elite varieties, or those on the recommended list, they were bred under monoculture conditions and under high inputs of nitrogen fertilizer. They were not bred for low input conditions. They are not bred for use in blends or in intercropping, but nevertheless, if you use, say, 3 or more components in, say, a winter barley mixture, they will over yield, and quite substantially. I've had figures of up to 17% over yielding on some occasions. But the issue is, this isn't consistent performance and quite difficult to predict. So what are the factors that affect it? And already from last year's trials, we can see that things like at high density and low nitrogen, you're most likely to get beneficial over yielding. Whereas the opposite, at low density and high nitrogen, you're least likely to get over yielding and perhaps even the odd negative result as well. Now contrast the recommended list, elite varieties, with also old land races or varieties bred many years ago. These were bred under low density conditions in general, and certainly under lower inputs of nitrogen. They weren't using anywhere near, if any, levels of fertilizer. Now, old land races, old varieties, can over yield, but they tend not to very much, certainly at high density. They might at low density, and their interaction with nitrogen is not at all clear. So it seems as though, at least with spring barley from last year's trials and looking back over some others, that it's about what varieties you choose, what type of varieties, the amount of nitrogen and the competition going on between those varieties. And it's about choosing those best combinations. So the competition and facilitation will determine how the end yield comes out. Now, last year, as I said, we did a spring barley variety very similar to the one behind me. This year we got a winter barley variety, so elite varieties from the recommended list, and also some very old varieties which were bred under low nitrogen conditions, such as Hatif de Grignon, Pioneer, Herefordia, Dea, Jura. These were bred in 1937, 45, 50, 53 and 61, so nearly all of them older than I am. So we're looking at this trial here and older trials as well, and trying to work out some principles whereby you can get the best out of mixtures. So what sort of varieties should you be choosing, and what sort of nitrogen conditions in particular should you be sowing them under? And hopefully after this trial and summarising some other trials, we'll come out with some clearer principles as to how to get the best from blends or mixtures of cereal varieties, certainly for barley varieties, and then moving on to others.